Well, Hogtown is the place to be in September if you're a movie buff, thanks to the Toronto International Film Festival. Hey, there goes George Clooney over there. And wow, is that really Jake Gyllenhaal having a Java at Timmy's? Oh yeah. But despite the best intentions, folks, sometimes when you throw a whiz-bang garden party, a skunk can waddle by. Case in point, Blowhard Michael Moore is back in town, and yes, he's produced yet another ideological stinker for the silver screen, this one entitled Where to Invade Next. Now, in typical Michael Moore style, his latest mockumentary is full of satire, full of irony, and full of bull. Check out the trailer.
USA! Yeah!
I have invaded your country.
To steal your great idea.
Unbelievable.
Is this the great big penis competition?
I love this. I would have ketchup on everything.
Papa, mangeons dans un restaurant ce soir? Oui, papa, dis-nous un deal.
Excellent idée. Mais demandez à maman d'abord.
Ah non, ne parlez pas de restaurant. Pourquoi pas, maman? Voilà le dîner.
I'm going to just plant the American flag right here in your living room. Is that okay?
Oh, joy. Amazingly, Where to Invade Next wasn't part of the film festival's Midnight Madness program. That's usually where the B-grade films that are equal parts horrific and low budget are confined to sort of a highbrow version of monster chiller horror theater.
You're gonna be scared right out of your pants, or dresses, or whatever you wear.
And make no mistake, folks, the propaganda being dispensed by Moore in this flick is scary. As per usual, Moore begins the doc skewering U.S. domestic and foreign policy, much like he did in the error-riddled Fahrenheit 9/11 and Bowling for Columbine docs. Moore begins his opus by examining the various conflicts and wars the U.S. has taken part in, noting there's seldom a happy ending, and I guess we'll just turn a blind eye to that Marshall Plan stuff. He goes on to stage a mock meeting of the U.S. Joint Chiefs of Staff. This is where the ludicrous plotline for the film takes root, as the military brass asks Moore to be an advanced scout for an invasion of, well, any place that the U.S. can take. Gotta feed that military-industrial complex, don't you know? And so Moore begins his European vacation visiting several EU countries that all seem to have found a far better way to function than America in terms of, female empowerment, the social safety net, or even nutrition. Okay, I really don't want to be mean here, folks, but Michael Moore lecturing anyone on nutrition, it's kind of like listening to an animal rights sermon delivered by Michael Vick. In any event, according to Moore, the United Dumbass States of America could sure learn a thing or three from those enlightened Europeans if only the U.S. were more open-minded and more liberal. For example, Germany is a capitalist panacea in which even small factories pay big wages and offer lofty benefit packages for their workers. Meanwhile, over in Italy, Moore is gobsmacked by the gleeful workers who enjoy holiday time Yankees can only dream about. In France, he's astonished to see schools serving gourmet meals to elementary students, such as lamb skewers with couscous. And there's no war on drugs in Portugal, and Moore believes the country is all the better for it, even if drug abuse is still a problem in Portugal. And over in Norway, even the most hardened criminals are treated with the utmost respect. There's a scene in which new inmates entering a maximum security prison are serenaded by the warden and guards singing, "We Are the World." Yes, Norway has come up with a feel-good incarceration model for the world, folks. Don't chastise those inmates because, hey, even rapists and murderers and pedophiles have feelings too, you know. How curious Moore didn't quite make it over to those European countries that are noteworthy for all the wrong reasons, like, oh, what's the name of that Mediterranean basket case that's been in the news lately? Oh yes, Greece. Alas, at the Q&A session following the screening, Moore justified his selection process, noting that he didn't book a flight to Athens because the whole idea of him visiting Europe was to, quote, pick the flowers, not the weeds.
Fascinating.
Fascinating indeed. Speaking of weeds, Moore might want to book another flight to Europe ASAP to film an epilogue regarding that so-called Syrian refugee crisis. After all, he'll find that many of those enlightened European nations he fawns over are already suffering buyer's remorse, given that new security measures are being rushed in. But I digress. But here's the thing about Where to Invade Next. Much like Moore's other films, he has plenty to gripe about, but he doesn't offer any real answers in order to bring about tangible change for his home country, which he seems to increasingly despise for some reason. And there's something else at play here, namely, Michael Moore yet again serves up a heaping help of hypocrisy with Where to Invade Next. After all, despite its failings, the great Satan has been very good to Michael Moore, just like capitalism, which Moore called evil in Capitalism: A Love Story, has also been very good for Michael Moore's bank account. Well, at least the chutzpah is consistent going back to his first major documentary, Roger and Me. Moore's premise was that because General Motors began in Flint, the company was morally obligated to support Flint. And yet, does the born in Flint Michael Moore reside in this depressed Michigan town? Nope. Flint is way too down market for the capitalism-bashing dock maker, who's now worth more than $50 million US. Bottom line, clocking in at a hefty 110 minutes, Where to Invade Next would have been twice as good if only it were half as long. But forget about catching a snippet or two. Like Greece, it might not be salvageable, so it's probably best you take the advice of Lieutenant Frank Dribbin if you're actually thinking about attending a screening down the road.
Please disperse. Nothing to see here.
For TheRebel.Media, I'm David the Menzoid Menzies.